MMA Now, powered by Film On TV Networks.
Hey, so you've talked a lot about your training was really diversified, going with Matt Hume, as far as bouncing around from one specific art. He threw you in these different matchups, whether it be Muay Thai or kickboxing or straight up wrestling. So what did you see? What was probably your best and your worst experience from one of those matchups?
I would say probably my Muay Thai fight because I broke my rib in the first round. That sucks, especially when it's an amateur. And then after that fight on Monday, I was back at work working. Also breaking my hand, an MMA fight, broke in the first round, broke this bone. And then I was back at work with a pin in my hand, and I had an oven mitt on to keep the pin warm, just so I used to work in a warehouse, and so it was super cold in the winter. And so if I didn't have anything over this hand, I can feel the coldness and the numbness of the steel rod in my hand. So those are probably the worst experience, but I don't take it for granted because it's been able to shape me into the martial arts I am today.
So also, you see these big money fights stealing some of the limelight from some of the belt fights, the championship fights. So what could you see being the biggest money fight for yourself, maybe later down the road?
Me going fighting Conor. I just want to say Conor McGregor has come back out of retirement, so I think I'm going to get the first crack at him. He might have a little ring rust on him. No, all jokes aside. I think it would have to be the biggest name guy in the UFC. And with that being said, that's Conor McGregor. So that would be my biggest money fight. But would I go up to 145 or 155? No, I would not. But those would be the biggest money fights. And like you said it there. Now it's not about being the champion to get the biggest money fight. It's about how many people you bring to watch it. So
I think it's interesting. Henry says that he studied your style. Your style is so eclectic. Are you able to be studied?
Yeah, you can study and watch, but when you get in there, you can study to see how fast it is. It's almost like, you study and see how fast Usain Bolt is. And then you're like, okay, we're going to race against Usain Bolt. We think we know his stride pattern, we know the arm he takes off with, we know every single thing in detail. And truly, you get next to him and it's like, and you see it in person, you see with your own two eyes, you're never going to really get the true definition of what you've been watching and studying. So, when you watch a video, it's just to give you a visual of letting your mind know, okay, this is what we're going to see. We're getting in there. And I'm pretty sure the last 7 people I fought have studied me just as much as him, and probably had guys who've been in the sport a lot longer, like Dwayne Ludwig. They studied me. I'm sure Ali Bakhtina's team studied me. John Raga's, etc. John Raga had Henry Cejudo in his camp, helping him get ready. That wrestling sure didn't work out for him, did it? But just saying, guys, like, you guys can sit there and watch, but it's like, I'm not saying taking anything away from them studying or anything. I know it's gonna be a tough fight. I mean, the guy, he's an Olympic level athlete, and it's gonna be a good show.
The Olympic level of wrestling, have you faced anyone at that level?
I fought a 2-time world Sambo champion on EPO, so I like to say that kind of compares to it. You saw John Jones take on a level caliber athlete against Daniel Cormier. He took him down multiple times, and I'm not comparing myself to these guys. I'm just throwing them references out there that, yeah, it's cool, but at the same time, it's another fight. It's not, USA wrestling.
And with the Olympics pending, how big of an influence have Olympic wrestlers been in the UFC? Is wrestling a dominant style, or would you say striking has become?
I would say wrestling's always been a dominant style, even before the Olympics, just because you're able to dictate. It puts you to that mental mindset. The coaches are very hard, old school. It's like, run 5 miles, come back, then we're going to wrestle. You're not drinking any water, you're not doing this and that, you got to do it. So they try to break you mentally. So I think as for us past wrestlers who've gone to that, with UFC cutting weight, we've already been adapting into that kind of community. Like we've been through this already.
What would you say is the big difference between his freestyle and your MMA style wrestling as far as that goes?
What do you mean by freestyle?
Well, he came from an Olympic American freestyle background. How do you see? Obviously, it translated somewhat to MMA, but with you being highly regarded as the best wrestler in MMA in the flyweight division, what do you see as the big differences between your two styles?
That I guess you could say I probably use it more. And who knows? Maybe he hasn't had to fight a guy, and nothing disrespect to all his last opponents. They're all great opponents, but he's never had to fight somebody who's super well-rounded. For me, he's known for his ground game. He's not known for his stand-up. So if you keep a guy on his feet, then there's no worries, you know. I mean, if it would have been more impressive if he would have taken, you know, Formiga down, pass his guard, use his wrestling to neutralize his grappling game, but he didn't go there. He didn't take it there. My black ass would have. I was like, take it down, pass guard, everyone try to submit you. And then if I would have submitted him, that would have been super impressive. A man who's a white belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu submitting a black belt. So that's impressive, you know. Beating people and just skating by and not really dominating them and throwing them around, you know. That's for me. That's like, hey, good job, you got the W. You know, but for me to beat up Kyoji Horiguchi on the feet and to submit at the last when the kid's been doing karate his whole entire life, and here I am sitting at home playing video games, like, that's impressive.
You talked yesterday about your time spent fighting as an amateur and how much that helped shape you and, you know, what you are today. Is that a time you look back on fondly in your life, fighting as an amateur?
Yeah, it was dope. You never knew who you were gonna fight, and you show up to the fight, and then you just got there fighting, and there's no study, there's nothing. So you're actually going out there solving the problem instead of, you know, hey, this is who you're gonna fight, so get ready for him. Which is, you know, I just like that tradition where it's like, we're gonna fight, you know nothing of me, I know nothing of you, good luck, let's begin.
So do you think those amateur fights that guys have are sort of underplayed a little bit?
What do you mean?
Just when I talk with guys, I tend to talk with a professional record, I almost ignore their amateur career. I mean, is that something that, you know, is undervalued within the MMA community?
I think so, because they're so rushed to get here. They're so in a rush to make that money, you know? And I totally understand, dude. Trust me, when I broke my rib and I broke my hand, I'm like, fuck, I didn't get paid shit. But at the same time, I didn't even care about the UFC. I didn't even know about the UFC. I mean, I did, but there was no weight class for me. And so for me, I was just focusing on just competing as an amateur and then building myself as a martial artist.